Top 50 evil tyrants in the history. 50. Jim Jones, a cult leader in the 1970s who literally sacrificed 900 men, ABD women, to his deity out of a psychopathic lust for blood. This guy became one of the world's most infamous serial killers from the satanic world in Earth, which the Satanists have unleashed. The guy is also known for murdering 300 kidnapped children and teens. His most crucial act is orchestrating the assassination of the politician Leo Ryan. 49. Lee Harvey Oswald, a psychopathic ABD delusional gunman, famous for killing President John F. Kennedy during a gathering in which the president was supposed to give everyone a speech. 48. Muammar Gaddafi, the leader of Libya at his time, who definitely deserved his death at the hands of rebels. Gaddafi killed thousands of his own people via warfare or execution. He was a crucial ally of the Islamic revolutionists in Iran, who are ruling until this very day. Gaddafi had no allies because he was obsessed with war and homicide, but like evil people around the globe, some followed him out of fear or interest. 47. Vladimir Lenin, the father of communism. Lenin is the puppeteer behind Stalin and Putin's strings, as he alone invented the idea of communist dictatorship. 46. Yahya Jammeh, a long-standing who ruled Gambia for 22 years. After a revolution ended and Jammeh took the leader's chair, he ruled Gambia with a massive iron fist, with vibes of torture, mutilations, systematic abuse of power, alliance with other evil men, and on top of all, mass sexual abuse, which will end up in first rape, then kill. 45. Jack the Ripper, one of the world's most infamous and heavily ruthless serial killers. Through riddles and personal letters, Jack used to haunt all of London with his deadly games. His rules for a game meant only one thing: you are going to die. He committed very heinous crimes such as death or torture, as he managed to kill hundreds of people and get away with it. 44. Napoleon, the well-known ruler of France from the Netherlands. Killed about 90,000 He might have shown drops of remorse, but he never blamed himself for these crimes right in front of the mirror. 43. John Wayne Gacy, a wise and rich fraud who killed, tortured, and sexually abused hundreds of people. From a demonic doctor, he was exposed to be one of the world's most vile serial killers and a big-time rapist. 42. Zedong, the first leader to rule modern China. Modern China is a live, tyrannical ruler. Look further back. Zedong committed unspeakable crimes, leading China to become a supremacist entity of shadows. He also used to burn the houses of anyone who spoke or acted against his ideas. 41. Heinrich Himmler, chief leader of Hitler's Nazi regime. He assisted Hitler in his communist GE made things personal towards Jews and others. He used to be a top advisor of the Nazi regime, giving orders and ideas which would lead to a world war and chaos everywhere. 40. Haman from the Vine. Haman was a judge and executioner in King Ahasuerus, who conspired to have that king kill hundred thousands of innocent Jewish residents just out of spite and ambition. He did get what he deserved. 39. Ted Bundy, the worst criminal on earth, infamous for raping and killing thousands of young women and girls. If a wife would be attacked, the husband would know that he might even be next on the list. He also interrogated a police officer to sexually abuse women without anyone stopping him. 38. Odoacer, the barbarian. Odoacer was a big bad leader of the barbarians, who were famous for filling European lands with tyranny and bloodshed. Odoacer also brutally murdered the royal family of Rome, causing mass destruction and violence. 37. Philippe Pétain. He Khalid Mashal, ruthless co-founder and chief leader of the terrorist group Hamas. He green-lighted a planned attack on Israel in October 2023. He was also a great supporter of other tyrants, CVH as Assad's Syria, Putin's Russia, and Khamenei's IRGC. 35. Bashar al-Assad, the former ruler of Syria and a good friend of Russia, being used as one of Putin's ruthless pawns for a war game. Assad used systematic abuse of power in cooperation with Putin. He used big bombs on his own people, just in order to make sure they still obey him. He fled to Russia after losing his 34. The supreme threat to Germany during World War I, and a Hitler ally and mentor in World War II. Alt his methods are not as ruthless as Hitler's. He still did quite some damage in Europe, and was responsible for killing over 10 33. Kim Jong-un, chief god of war in North Korea, who actively threatens South Korean innocents, abuses his own people, and acts as Putin's lapdog for power. He insists of keeping his nuclear systems all alive and well, and he is also involved in the deadly war on Ukraine, sending his own troops to save Putin's ego. 32. Kim Jong-il, a tyrannical ruler of the former North Korea, and the one behind Kim Jong-un's dirty plans. He was a very fussy person, planning day and night how to destroy the United States and the South. 31. Caligula, being the iconic ruler of Rome for a time, he was infamous for building his bridge over the water. He caused millions of deaths. He wasn't afraid of torturing others and letting people follow him out of fear. 30. Jezebel from the Bible. Jezebel wasn't a very active threat in her story, but she was certainly a bad influence. She conspired with her formerly Jew husband King Ahab to falsely accuse a poor Israelite farmer to help her husband cope with his jealousy. She was beautiful like a desert flower, but she was certainly a two-faced little snake in a human form. 29. Xi Jinping, the current ruler of China and most likely Putin's right-hand man, and a pragmatic yet very close ally. Xi ensured Putin would one day rule a new world by providing him technology, information, and money. He always helps Putin with the West, and he systematically abuses his own people, rarely executing people for his own profit or goals. Literally, the Chinese can be abused if he only starts watching a video of Winnie the Pooh. 28. Ayatollah Khamenei. He is the second supreme leader and an Ayatollah from Iran, ruling his people with an iron fist and using proxies to spread his terror into other countries. He smiled on October 7th, spreading more Hamas lies to gain full support from the European civilians and the head members of the UN. He enslaved his cause, often sending missiles to scare the Jewish nation, or spreading protests organized by proxies to turn Europe later on into an Islamic continent. 27. Tayyip Erdogan. Also a dictator in Israel. And even threatened with a war in which NATO would have to side with him. He assaults them repeatedly, and he killed thousands of them, often proving torture in order to weaken them. 26. King David. He might have been drawn as a good guy from the Jewish books of faith, but in the same books, eventually, he sent a Whelan's innocent beloved husband to a death trap, claiming the girl as his wife and raping her, even continuing this rage after God killed their child. 25. Cyril Ramaphosa, the current president and ruler of South Africa. Despite being drawn as a helpful democratic official, this is very far from the truth. He orchestrated and gave clear orders as the mastermind of the Marikana massacre, which killed thousands of innocents. 24. Osama bin Laden, the head psychopath and leader of the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. Under his reign of terror, thousands were killed, and it quickly worsened when he sent a plane with the pilot being ordered to crash ABD bomb up the Twin Towers in the US. He was really bad, and it's good we got rid of his terroristic presence. 23. Nimrod from the Bible, a man of war who conquered much of this world with a violent desire to make all humans lose their faith and go against God. After building the world's first high-rise tower to mock God and brainwash his followers, the tower collapsed, and hubdreds of thousands died thanks to his trickery. 22. Yahya Sinwar, a chief warmonger working for Hamas terrorist group, and the conspirator and overseer behind the October 7th massacre, where he raped hundreds of women, killed thousands of young partygoers, tortured lots of people living in Israeli settlements while destroying their houses, and he kidnapped hundreds of people, including women, ABD babies, to blackmail Israel's decision-makers to give Iranian propaganda the upper hand. 21. Pontius Pilate, the killer of the man of God, the archenemy of Jesus and his primary foe. He ruled his empire brutally and was infamous for killing the world's holiest person at the time. He is a real devil disguising as a Roman high-ranked warlord. 20. Joseph Stalin, the one who started to carry out Lenin's communism as his idea. He created gulags, which are like torture chambers. He killed 1 million people, but his vicious war caused many more to die, especially inside his gulags. Due to his actions, Ukraine's war could arguably be his legacy in some ways. 19. King Leopold II. This tyrannical king was a fan of torture and blood. He conquered a lot of kingdoms for his own sage. For power, Leopold would do anything or kill anyone standing in his way. During his rule, millions of slaves worked for his labor, and almost 1 million people died because of his terror. 18. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of the Turkish-funded terror red group known as ISIS, who brutally killed about 500,000 people altogether as they've terrorized Europe, planning to shed endless blood and bones in the western areas. 17. Benito Mussolini, causing a high death toll in Europe. He aided Hitler in his goals, but he was more of a simple pragmatic ally for the Nazis. He governed Italy with a system more vile than any other Hitler supporter group, including TJA infamous Vichy organization. 16. Leopoldo Galtieri. In 1926 until 2003, he was the supreme military commander of Argentina's forces. He was a ruthless, power-hungry tyrant who was responsible for a rough war known as the Falklands War or the Dirty War. He killed about 50,000 innocents in harsh ways. He did get what he deserves eventually. 15. Attila the Hun. As the leader of his own famous empire, Attila was mad with power, and he would do anything for the sake of war and bloodshed. He tortured thousands and killed about 400,000 innocent people for power and some other related dark reasons. 14. Alexander Lukashenko, a fearsome dictator who can execute you for saying one word about his evil ways of tyranny, often known as the last dictator of Europe. Alongside him, he is a great ally and friend for pragmatic decisions. Yes, he enjoys spreading chaos, and he uses the darkest prison holes in the world for whoever he accuses, regardless of the law he enforces. Lukashenko is a big bad nuclear wolf in the wide world, and he always threatens the West with his nuclear might. In recent years, satellites have shown how Belarus moved nukes around Belarus after buying them from Russia. 13. Samuel Little. This guy was the worst serial killer of all times. Following his ultimatums out of fear from him. He killed about 70 innocents, especially vulnerable girls, which he would also rape, torture, and enslave. He was widely known for mass human trafficking. 12. Vladimir Putin, the world's most horrible and ruthless modern dictator, and the mastermind behind his war against Ukraine, launched the world watches from the side of ultimate freedom. Often, Putin threatens with nukes and attempts to unleash a third world war if the Western world doesn't surrender to his cruel demands. He killed hundreds of thousands as a young KGB officer before he became the fearsome dictator of Russia, threatening 100 million people with his harsh methods and hidden secret tyranny. He also has lots of spies working for him, and these spies can often poison people he intends to hurt someone to get rid of. He unleashed TA civil war in Syria along with his friend Assad, killing about 700,000 people for Assad to stay in power and let Putin have authority in the land. Afterwards, he unleashed more than hell in Ukraine, killing 1.2 million people, displacing millions in the Crimea, starving every Ukrainian by unleashing a second holocaust, opening the most ruthless torture chambers in history since the gas chambers, sending thousands of the most infamous dictator never seen on Earth, and the mastermind behind the war which horrifically killed about 17 million people in many brutal ways. While people like Petar, Mussolini, Japanese army, and many more allies had their own death tolls and destructive iron fists or power-mad agendas, Hitler had the final word of approval, and he was very cruel to minorities, killing
You have
6
1 hour
million
to finish this.
Jews. He even turned the Jews against themselves by forming the Judenrat, which would give some responsible Jews an opportunity to live a longer life with more human rights and favors, only if they supported the cause of the Nazi regime and were willing to report other Jews if they tried to rise up against Hitler. Hitler never regretted his catastrophic actions, but when he knew he would lose the war, he killed himself. 10. King Ahab, formerly a Jewish official, he became a king by marrying the manipulative Jezebel and worshipping the devil to remain dominant. When witnessing the farmer Naboth growing some fancy stock and even tasty sweet grapes, Ahab discussed that matter out of envy with his wife Jezebel, and after she gave him directions, he hired 2 false witnesses to frame Naboth for treason, defying the will of the devil himself. Was really innocent to be stoned by a massive crowd of followers in the land. Ahab gained control over the farm, trying to expand his limit for power and devilish influence. But God did Magi sure he pays his price. 9. Judas Iscariot, despite not killing Jesus directly, he did orchestrate it from behind the scenes in some ways. He was originally an ally of Jesus from his inner circle of trust. However, he secretly offered the Romans to kill Jesus so he could gain from them lots of money. He might not be a killer, but he certainly is a horrible, evil genius who led thousands of Jesus followers to his death trap. 8.
Pol Pot was a Cambodian politician related to communism. He became the dictator of his country by rising to power through violence, and he eventually ruled Cambodia with an iron fist. People were starving, forced into labor camps for pretty small reasons, and killed if they were weak or they've shown any sign of weakness or defiance. Pol also had a major alliance with Russia and China. After killing hundreds of thousands systematically and spreading his ruthless and hateful ideology for some time in Cambodia, he met his own downfall.
7. Hideki Tojo. He was a devilish. Abubakar Shekau, originally from Nigeria, this madman leads a terrorist organization accused for large-scale genocides named Boko Haram. Abu Bakr invaded countless areas and kidnapped thousands of young schoolgirls before unleashed undeserved hell upon them. He even expressed his sadism in his speeches, mentioning he enjoys bloodshed multiple times. He brutally invaded Nigeria and caused about 350,000 deaths. 5. Idi Amin, also an African tyrant. Idi Amin was a natural killer and dictator who ruled Uganda for a long time and with a brutal fist of iron. He killed about 1 million people, of which most of them were tortured and later executed for unfair reasonings. Mass grave skulls painted his land with red blood. He also had policies which led to sexual abuse towards thousands of girls. Some even say he would bomb up the houses of whoever showed opposition. 4. Genghis Khan. This guy from ancient history is no joke. He's the third most evil person on the list and possibly the one with the highest kill count. He was a warmonger from Mongolia who used the Mongolian army to conquer countless nations, while causing about 80 million deaths at the very least. Genghis believed in nothing but power and destruction, building full AB large-sized pyramids from his victims' bones and skulls, with a full sadistic attitude. He tortured anyone who opposed his tyranny by pushing molten solver into his face, or beheading him at the very least painful method. 3. Pharaoh Ramses II. Imagine having to build a whole pyramid in one single month by lifting a whole truck 3 or 4 times every day while moving and running non-stop. That's how it felt to be a slave in Egypt. Ramses had millions of Jews serving him as slaves out of food, but he was never hungry. In fact, he returned with atrocities and sending hundreds of babies to be fed to the wild crocodiles swarming on a meaty meal in the river area. Ramesses also became the arch-nemesis of Moses, who saved them all from the tyrant. 2. Dr. Joseph Mengele, while Hitler was the one in charge of a European catastrophe. He didn't even have a hint of the full extent of Mengele's horrific experiments on the Nazi regime's victims. Mengele was responsible for developing and overseeing the progress of the gas chambers. He killed Jewish children, gypsies, traitors, minorities, and even disabled innocents who could not defend themselves in any way. It was all for fun, and he did such crimes that even a tyrant would be scared to witness. It's pure evil. 1. Ivan the Terrible. He literally poisoned his mother when he was 8 and began rising to power during his teen years. Ivan was the manifestation of tyranny itself, leading Russia to be a powerful regime within no time, brutally getting rid of whoever slightly thought of opposing or questioning him. Even his closest allies just followed him out of it. Ivan killed millions of Soviet-area civilians, using mothers and children often as human shields, and torturing the weak for perfect power. Ivan's deeds caused a